morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Jumpstart. And we're going to be doing some color mixing today. This month we're going to do mostly, if not all, color mixing for our morning Jumpstarts. They're half-hour episodes and they're exercises, kind of like the artistic gym. So this week we're working on, with our primaries, Cad Yellow Light, Alizarin Crimson, Ultramarine Blue, Yellow Red Blue, with white and black. Then I have some medium on there to keep things smooth and rolling. So, looks like we got a good crowd this morning. Schaefer, let's get this mixer going. Yeah, I say so. I say so. Shakti and Ellie, good morning, good morning, good morning. So good morning, everybody. See, there's other people on here probably rushing to get the pallets ready. So that's all good. Before we start here, let's go through and see what we're looking at. Yeah, Miss Meyer, keeping things in order. In order today. Claudia's here. There we go. Everybody's getting situated now. Everybody's getting situated. Like it. All right. So today, what we're going to do is just like yesterday, we're going to mix the 6 hue color wheel. Our yellow, red, and blue will be right out of the tube. Those are pretty easy. From the 3 primaries, we're going to get orange, green, and purple. Again, this is a good idea just to do when you sit down, kind of orient yourself, remind yourself, right? Get into that color universe. And then today, instead of mixing 3 grays, we're going to mix 1 gray. And I want to mix that to, in our 4 value scheme, right? Where number 1's our highlight, number 2's our light, number 3's our value, and number 4's our dark. I want to mix up a number 2 today. And I want it to be kind of a lighter middle gray value. And what I particularly want to look for is something where the highlight, the white in this case, is going to really jump off of it, right? So I want it on the lighter side, but I want it far enough away from white so we get a real pop. So we'll mix our 1 gray to black and white at a value number 2 of our 4 value scheme, not a general value number 2. And then we're going to match the 3 primary hues. In other words, we're going to match our yellow, our alizarin crimson, and our blue to that gray value. Once we've done that, we're going to take those 3 primaries at the right value and mix an entire slice of the color wheel. Meaning at that value, what's the brightest yellow we can get? What's the brightest orange we can get? What's the brightest red we can get? And so forth. But not only the brightest, we want to mix the grays as well. So if that's a little confusing, I hope it'll make more sense once we get there. All right, so let's get this show running. Running. Reenie's here. Good day, Reenie. All right, so we're set up. I'm going to remember to set my timer today. So we're going to do this for about 30 minutes. So let's come down to the palette. So the first thing to do is mix up your color wheel. Right? Again, just to orient yourself, and especially if you're new to this, just make this a little habit. Mix up a little color wheel. Mix up a color wheel. Whenever I was in art school and I had my charcoal, I'd come in, I'd sharpen my pencils, and I'd sit down and I would mix values, right? Just getting my hand used to what's happening. We want to get our mind and our hand used to what's happening here in the color. So you take a little yellow, we'll put it up at the top, and then we'll leave a little mark of yellow over here, a little mark of yellow over here. We'll take our red. There's be our red. Again, let's put a little red on that side and a little red on that side. Now it leaves us with our last primary, our blue. Take a little dot, put blue, and then let's put a little on this side of the blue and a little on that side of the blue. Then we can take that and mix our secondaries. So blue and yellow will make it green. Blue and red will make purple. Violet, depending on which one dominates. And then our red and yellow will make our orange. Okay, and this is just kind of an aside. Just an aside to warm up. So that was our step number 1 for our exercise today. So for number 2, we're going to take our white and our black, and I want to mix a value that's darker than my cad yellow light, but that's really above the halfway value. And again, the goal of this value is so that it sits and then our white will really jump off of it. What do I mean by that? So if you don't know what I mean by that, if we take our yellow and we took our red and we took our blue, if we take a bit of white, does that white jump off that yellow? We really can't say that it does. We really can't say that it does. Does it jump? Yeah, it jumps off that. Yeah. Why does it jump? Well, because of the value separation. Okay? So, we don't want to darken this dark because this is on the lower end. We want to do a value that's darker than this. Boom. But that gives a bit of a pop for our white, okay? So, a bit of black. A bit of white, and if I remember correctly, my black was much stronger than my white yesterday. So I'm going to take that into account when I'm mixing. If I leave a little bit of white here, you can kind of see when this doesn't jump anymore, right? So I'm comparing it right to that. That looks like that'd be pretty rich there. Is that too dark? Is that too dark? Let's see. Let's see. Maybe just a little bit lighter because we do want this to be light, but I want it to be a rich light, not like a really blanched out light. All right, I'm feeling a little, that's definitely feeling lighter, and there's still plenty of pop from that white. So I'll take a short breather here. Let you guys kind of catch up because I know sometimes it takes a minute if you're starting off to get those going. Barbara made it. Barbara, I love seeing you every morning. Good, 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 good. If you guys will do these exercises, even if you're a bit lost and unsure, spend time. Your awareness is going to grow, and as your awareness grows, your ability grows. All right, so let's get a gray that our white will jump off of, but that's on the lighter side. So is that gray darker than my, oh, of course. Is it lighter? Oh, yeah. Is it light? Yeah. All right, so let's call that, set our black aside now. All right, we want to keep our working area tidy enough that we can have control over it. And this will be a gray, it will sit over here. So now, theoretically, this is the center of the wheel. It's not because ivory black's a little bit warm, yada, yada, yada. But. So what are we up to now? What is our task now? Well, now our task is to bring our three primaries, our yellow, our alizarin, and our blue to this value. So let's start with our white, with our yellow. Now before we start today, let's review what we learned yesterday just a little bit. Let's review what we learned. So, we've got 5 tube colors out. We've got white, we've got black, we've got cad yellow light, we have alizarin crimson, and we have ultramarine blue. Now, if you forget everything you know about color and just look at the values of these, can you see that yellow and white is our lights, black, blue, and red is our darks in this scenario? So the first thing I ask myself, if I need to darken this, what will not do the job? Not will do the job, what will not do the job? Well, we can't darken it with white. All right, so I can just forget about that. Then I can ask myself, all right, what happens when I mix yellow and red? Well, we know, orange. What's going to happen when I mix blue and yellow? Well, we know green. And then from yesterday's exercise, we also know that when we mix black, it's actually going to go more green than completely neutral. So to neutralize yellow and to darken it, we're going to go black with yellow first. Then we're going to have to use our alizarin, our red, to pull that yellow back over into kind of the center of the wheel. So let's execute that. So we'll start with yellow. Remember, if your paint's too stiff, get a little medium. It'll mix better, be easier on your hands. It'll go faster. And what's the first thing I'm going to do here? Well, I need to darken this with the black. Why wouldn't I just darken this with the gray? Well, because gray has white in it. And unless we have to, we don't really want to add white. Okay, so let's start with a little black. And again, remember how we mix? We're going to set this to the side and then slowly pull this in. And how dark am I going? Well, I want to match this gray. Okay, so I don't think about the color at all at this point. I'm simply going for the right value. Remember, the procedure is value first, value first, value first, value first. Okay, we're still too light, so what does that mean? Well, we need more of our dark. And when you start, this might take forever. That's okay. You know, set a timer, you've got the time you have, and get as far as you get. And come back and do it again, and then you'll get further next time. Don't expect to be mixing as fast as I do, you know, by the end of the week or even the end of the month. It takes a little time. And all of us are different. So whatever time it takes for you, that's the time it takes. How's that for some intelligence? Whatever time it takes, that's the time it takes. But it's true. All right, I feel like we're relatively close in value there. But we see that we've come very green, right? So let's take a little bit of our red, and again, we're going to set this over to the side. Just pull a little bit there. And then I can pull more in as I need it. So I'm not a victim of my color, but I'm in charge of my color. I'm guiding my color. Still seems pretty strong green to me, and we've got darker too, haven't we? Right? Sometimes when you add different things, it'll drop the value. So we need to bring this value up and add the orange. Okay. I feel like we're beginning to get there. Okay, so we're still a little bit dark. It feels like we're a little... It's such a delicate balance. I mean, it goes from orange to green in like a split second. But that's what I want you to discover. That's what I want you guys to play with, to see. See how that color moves. All right. We're going to call that the same, even though it may not be engineering precise. It's pretty dang close there. So, what that means is that at this value, that'll be our yellow with this palette. Now, if we had yellow ochre out here, we could get a lot brighter, but we're not going to just start adding tube colors. We want to know with these colors, what's the brightest yellow I can get? And that's your answer. Now, we can get it more yellowish if we start adding white, but I like to leave my white out until it's absolute necessary, right, to get the most chroma out of my color. All right, so if that's the brightest, this is our gray. So then our yellow at this value is going to work into the center. Okay, let's go with our red, because this is going to be a little tricky now, isn't it? Now, do we need to lighten or darken our red to get it to our gray value? Well, we need to lighten it. And if we want to lighten it, we only have two choices, yellow or white. Okay. We saw yesterday that yellow and red, we've seen again today, is going to give us orange. So that's going to pull us this way too much. And this really cools us off down in here too much. So we're going to have to use a combination of both of those. So when that's the case, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just start with a little combination of what I'm going to use. Okay, then how do we handle this? We set it to the side. Now this is getting just a tiny bit stiff on me. Now I hope everybody's figured out by now that you got to clean your palette knife a lot. But what happens if you take a dirty palette knife filled with paint and you right? It's going to screw your mixing all up. What happens if you take these piles and mix them on top of some blue, or right? It's going to skew that. So part of this is just about being comfortable and being disciplined. Being a little bit disciplined. All right, so let's get a little bit of our medium. Okay. So that's feeling more red than orange to me still. And how's our value? So it feels a tiny bit dark to me. And again, it can be kind of hard until you've got some experience to separate value from the color. But when I say value, all I'm talking about is how light or dark it is. So probably pretty close there. So I want you to notice something. Do you notice at about the same value, right, this is tipping up a little bit down here at the end, so it's, but if we do that, can you see that those are close? This is a lot brighter color, a lot more chroma, a lot closer to the outside of the wheel than this at this value. If we switched up to this value, our yellow is going to be brightest by the far, and then our red will be weaker. Okay, so just keep your eyes open. Try to see what's happening. As you mix this, how does the paint respond? You don't have to understand theoretically right away. More than anything, it's about the experience of mixing paint. Most people, in their first 5 years or so of painting, don't mix a color unless they're painting. Well, how are you going to learn to mix color if you don't practice? You got to practice. All right, so if we call this red, how are we doing on time? 10 minutes? Good. What do we do with this red? Well, we bring it into the center. Okay, and what do we have? Well, we have a bright red, a grayer red, or a more neutral red. More neutral red. Yeah, that dropped in value a little bit. Sometimes it goes a little bit. We'll just notice it. Don't panic. You have to lighten that up. And after you know how to do it, it's not a big deal. All right, so I don't quite, but do you guys see how this, so what I'm trying to do is take a slice of the color wheel straight across in value, because the value here is way up here, the value here is down here, the value here is down here. So let's bring these up, let's take that down to where they're level, and let's see an entire slice of the wheel with these pigments that we can create. Okay, that's what we're up to here. How's everybody doing? Amen, amen, amen. I'm not sure what we're amen, and I just looked up, but amen. Good to see you, Miss Janny. Good to see you. All right, so 10 minutes, so let's make sure we at least get our blue in. So blue, we talked about blue being a little bit unusual yesterday. Right? But we can lighten blue with black? No. Can we lighten blue with red? No. Yeah, that will lighten it, but what's yellow and blue going to do? It's going to give us green. Okay? So that leaves us with white. So blue is one of those colors where, and again, you wouldn't want to do gray because you've got black in that, and that's going to gray that down, right? If you just use pure white, and again, set it to the side. And then take little pieces of it until you know how the paint's going to affect. Even when you do know, this is still how I mix, it just gives you better control. Rather than taking a little bit of this and dumping it right in the middle of that. Look at how much paint you'd be wasting. Pretty close. Pretty close. All right, so this isn't size relational. If we had more time, we could make it so. But you can see that this red is going to be further out on the wheel. And so is this blue, meaning brighter blue and a brighter red. And that's not a very bright yellow, is it? No, so this part of the color wheel collapses a little bit at this value with these pigments. Right? So in other words, this yellow is actually much closer to the center. Jason, what are you talking about? Well, I am so happy you asked. So what we've done is we've taken this yellow and put it down to a value, and we've done that, that yellow's come in here, right? And our reds come in a little bit brighter at that value. And then our blues come in even brighter than that. At that value. So usually we see a color wheel, this is what we see, and we get used to thinking this is yellow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is yellow as well. That is just as yellow as that. Those hues are equal. What's not equal is the value. This is a darker yellow, and the chroma, simply from the fact of it being darker, means it's going to be closer to the center or less chromatic. Okay? I don't want to get too talky here because this can get confusing fast if you're not following along. What's most important is that you just do this, you do this, you do this, and you get this in your head. I want in your head. I want to live in your head, rent-free. Right? Not me, but the knowledge of color. Your knowledge of color, your ability to mix color. Again, in the end, this has absolutely nothing to do with me. Right? Your power comes from you. I can give you a little guidance on how to strengthen your power, but I can't give you the power. The power comes when you exercise what power you currently have. And if you currently have zero power, well, then what that means is if you're just mixing paint, paying attention, you're getting stronger. Okay? So focus on just getting stronger rather than doing a particular task. Because until you know how and what it takes to do those tasks, the chances that you're succeeding at them are very slim. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to sketch. Whoop, it says oh, I guess I talked for a few minutes. This is 8:30. Our timer still says about 3.5 minutes. That's basically the lesson today. I'll give you a few minutes to sketch, and then I'll take questions for about 5 minutes if there's any questions on this. Okay. Starting next week, there'll be Sketch Club Wednesday night. There's nothing happening tonight because our little girl is leaving elementary school. So we got a promotion celebration for Izzy. And so the next time you'll see me is in Friday morning class. If you have questions over the week from doing these exercises, please get those in and emailed. Please stick to color, right? We want to talk about the subject matter. But if there's anything that needs to be clarified, I'd like to do that Friday before we go on. Okay. Miss Katie, good to see you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know it's a bit earlier where you are. So if you're doing this, hats off. But I imagine you might revisit this a little later. A little bit later. Everybody okay out there? Mixing, mixing, mixing? And I hope that makes sense. So again, how would we get our purple here? Well, we'd have to take our blue at that value and our red at that value. And that's going to be about the brightest purple we can get, but that's still too dark because those two pigments tanked our value. So let's kiss it with a little white. Right, kiss our boo-boo. A little kiss from mama makes everything better. Okay, and again, not a real bright purple, is it? Purple's already pretty close in here. But again, we went from really dark, so that's going to gray that out. All right, so I want to show you guys one thing real quick. So if you're mixing, just look up from your thing for just a second. So what do you notice about this? Do you notice that those got pushed in and those pulled out as far as chroma goes at this value? So pay attention as you change these values, and like you could experiment with this at all kinds of different values. And as you go through those values, what grows and what shrinks on the color wheel? It might be good to know. That could help you in planning some of your future paintings. Oh, Jenny, I love it. So good. 10 years of painting and I've never had any color mixing instruction. Love it. You know what? I don't know that I ever had any color mixing instruction. And I studied with a colorist, but you just had to kind of watch him. So I'm glad you guys like it. In my head, I thought this would be very, very effective for all of us as improving as artists. Sometimes we get classes and we just want to paint a picture, paint a picture, paint a picture, paint a picture, but we got to pause and do some of this stuff. All right. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, thank you. All right, so Cindy Meyer says, your color exercise sheets are in the course for the students. You'll notice two versions. There's a viewable version and a printable version. Let's finish that thought. You'll find the link to shows is in the printable version box. Printable. Okay, so what we did there is we've got a version of the printout very pretty with nice backgrounds and all of that. But if you try to print that, it takes up all the ink in your printer. So she's done a very nice, beautiful version that if you're going to use it on a screen or your computer, use that. But if you need to print it out, you want to press that printable button unless you just like spending a lot of money on ink. Alright, so there's the story of that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we're going to say good day to you. If you're frustrated, take a deep breath. It's okay. This is a big subject. And a lot of times it bends our minds in ways we're not used to bending it. So be patient with yourself. Like I said, we're going to be mixing all month. And if you're just totally lost right now, let's see how you are next week, and the week after, and the week after. I bet by the end of the month, things will start clearing up for you guys. Okay, if you're having a problem. I know some of you guys have already really excelled in this. So good, 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 good. All right, love to all of you. Thank you for your hard work. Really appreciate it, your work, your attention. All right, and Claudia, and I know some people are still having some difficulty with the school site. Part of it is we're in temporary status right now. When we get it to permanent status, we're going to do videos where we walk you through everything. Okay, but at this time it's just not going to serve us, because hopefully this stuff will be changing and simplified within at most a couple of months. So if you can stick with us a little longer, Claudia, I know you're having some difficulty. We're going to get simplified, and take care of you. All right, love you, Claudia. Thank you, Shakti. Thank you, Janny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, congratulations to Izzy. Last day as a kid. I think tomorrow she becomes an enemy of the state. Officially teenager. Oof. Just kidding. She's a great kid. We're so proud of her. All right. Good day, everybody. Love you guys. Bye-bye.